despite what we're seeing on the ground here, talk to me more about how this conflict is being viewed inside Russia.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're seeing. I mean, it's almost the complete opposite of what people in the West see. In other words, what they're saying here on state TV is Russia is being dragged into this conflict. And the reason is because NATO and especially the United States are using Ukraine as kind of a weapon against Russia. And in a sense, they're not really talking about Ukraine, they're talking about the United States. And especially if you look at some of the polls, Russians blame not Ukraine, but they blame NATO. And yet, opinion is really kind of divided. I would say probably the majority of people do support defending Russia against the West. But there are people here who are not on board with this war. There actually have been some generals, some retired generals, who came out and very strongly urged not to go to war. In fact, one of them wanted Putin to resign. But there are people here who don't want to do it. You saw at his Security Council meeting, there was kind of a misstep in communicating about what they were going to do. So, but the thing is, Putin now has so much power in the country. He controls the military, and you see them on the border and now in actual parts of Ukraine.
Colonel, I have to ask you, because these things, obviously, they don't always go as planned as people think, right? The president may be saying, we don't want to go, or he doesn't want to go to war with Russia. But the possibility of being dragged into a war, that is a real possibility, no?
It is absolutely, Don, and that's where we have to be so careful about the next steps and how everything is managed, both on the military side and, of course, on the diplomatic side. So every time you have troop concentrations anywhere, the risk is increased that there might be an accident, that there might be an unintended incident, and of course unintended incidents have unintended consequences. So it is a very real risk, and there has to be a lot of deconfliction of forces. We don't want to go to war with Russia, but the events might draw us in, and quite frankly, the pictures that we might see from Ukraine in the next few days or weeks or whenever this happens could spur further action and could spur military action, and that's something the Pentagon and its counterparts in other NATO countries will have to be prepared for.
And lastly, Oren Lieberman, the Pentagon is well aware of that.
Absolutely. There is no abatement or easing of the concern and the worry about Putin's next steps. They see the number of troops there. If you include the separatists, we're looking at 190,000. They see the buildup that's getting closer to the border. Remember, on Friday, some 45 to 50% of troops, Russian troops that is, near Ukraine, were in attack positions, and they see no signs that Putin is de-escalating. If you're leaving your forces in Belarus when the exercise is over, if they remain at a heightened level in Crimea, and just on the border of eastern Ukraine there, what's the reason for that? And the conclusion, the concern, is the reason is an all-out invasion. Remember, it was Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin who said over the weekend he thinks the probability of tanks rolling into Kyiv is highly likely.
Oren, MJ, Jill, Colonel, thank you all. I appreciate it.